every time I say that astrology isn't real, that is just fun space woo-woo, Mercury goes in retrograde and fucks my shit up. Hi friends, hi, my name is Mia and this is my virtual vanity, a place where we both love makeup and we are quite critical of it. Long time no see. I know I've not been the most consistent, but I have been going through the gigs. I have been going through existential crisis after existential crisis, and when I wasn't busy having existential crises, I was busy feeling understimulated while simultaneously having choice fatigue, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, having so many options of things to do, but I could not do one single of them because I just couldn't make myself do it. My brain is a very fun place to be. It's a very fun ride, 18 plus. But we're not here to turn this into a therapy session, at least not in that way, because honestly, I don't have enough money to pay all of you to put up with my bullshit. We are going to talk today about my beauty budget update for the past few months. For my January no buy, which I did because in December I just kind of went off the rails in my break from my 2020 beauty budget. And about February and what I bought in February, because that's when I went back to normal budgeting. In case you're new, these are my beauty budget rules. Here they are. What that basically means that I have a limit of $100 per month for both beauty and makeup, and I'm also only allowed 2 items per month of makeup, 2 items of clothing. Also, it's storming outside. If you hear rumbling, if you hear thundering, that's just Zeus smiting some poor mortal. So let's have a moment of silence for whoever's husband got struck by lightning just so Zeus could sneak into their bedroom and seduce the wife. Let's start with January, and my intro is so appropriate because it was a very weird month. So January, I did not buy one single thing. I stood strong, I stood by my no buy, and it was actually quite easy. Because you see, I had ordered in December a bunch of stuff from various brands, things that I had had on my wish list for months and months and months, and I knew that I would not regret the purchase. However, living in Romania, Europe, that means that usually things may take a bit of time to get to me. So certainly there was a delay, and I found myself with a lot of product that I bought initially in December arriving in January and trickling in. In that sense, my no-buy felt like I cheated because, okay, I did not buy anything in the month of January, but I kept getting that sweet, sweet hit of dopamine, of serotonin from new purchases because parcels had arrived in the mail. So I still think it did not count in a way. It counted in the sense that I did not bring any new items, so it didn't increase my inventory size, but it didn't count in the sense that it did not help me work out the muscles that govern self-control, govern the magpie brain, hold the magpie brain on a leash in a very non-BDSM kind of way, because nobody's getting pleasure out of that interaction. Abstaining is not pleasurable for me, but I gotta do it. You know what I mean? Because of this influx of product in January, I started feeling overwhelmed by the abundance in my collection. I also did an inventory, which I will link below, an inventory organization video, and again it struck me how much shit I actually have. The numbers were not much bigger compared to last year's, and that is because of my 2020 beauty budget, but it still hit me because I've been working from home for about a year now, and that means that whereas earlier, before the plague, in the before time, I did not feel this abundance weighing on me, this, I wouldn't call it excess, because it wasn't excess at the time. It's excess now, dictated by circumstances. I wasn't feeling it because I rotated through everything equally. I would wear makeup every day and I would rotate through all of the stuff that I accumulated. Everything would get loved. Very rarely would I have items where I say, oh, I forgot I have this in my collection. Even now, whatever I buy, I make sure it gets plenty of love and I intimately know every single item that I have. But it started to get increasingly more and more difficult to justify any new purchase for me, even on the guise of just trying it out, or you know, just feeling good that I get a new piece of makeup, a new plaything. Because you see, I have so many other toys in my vanity that I am not giving enough attention to because I work from home. Discussed this in other videos previously, but I do enjoy makeup for makeup's sake, and I do still create a lot of interesting eye looks, a lot of stuff for Instagram and for creativity's sake. But I have creative makeup and then I have daily makeup, and the daily makeup, the stuff that I don't use as much in my creative pursuits of makeup, that's starting to feel neglected and it makes me feel bad. On the other hand, I try not to wear makeup every day at home because it's just been nice letting myself be all natural. I'm not the type to feel uncomfortable without makeup. I'm fine with my face as is, but I do realize that being fine with my face as is a constant pursuit. You know what, just give me 2 minutes. I'm gonna go close the window because I am pretty sure there's a lot of background rain noises, and this is not an ASMR fall asleep to rain sounds while people talk about how they spend their money type of video. The less you wear makeup, the more you get used to how you look without makeup, or the more you wear minimal makeup, and I mean truly minimal, not just no makeup, which is an art in itself. Mad respect for the girlies that can pull that off. The more you get used to how your face looks without it. It's also the fact that I enjoy makeup as art, and art is made bigger and better by how people perceive it and what it transmits. When I wear makeup inside the house, the only person that sees me is my boyfriend. He has absolutely no eye for anything artistic, no eye for color differences, for color choices, for different finishes, for what I do on my face. For him, I'm pretty as is, with makeup, without makeup. He has certain preferences, let's say, but overall, he can't appreciate the artistry. His brain is focused on other things like C-sharp, objects, silos, whatever other shit he talks about in his meetings, you know? There's no room for makeup appreciation in his brain because it's so full of programming. So in the sense of having my makeup being perceived and appreciated as an art form at home, I do not get that. I get that only if I go outside or if I post it on Instagram. So of course, I don't use as many things as I did when I wore makeup every day. And you can say blah, 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 what about not wearing makeup for others? Like, it's fine. It's fine to admit that we want to be perceived.
Wanting to be perceived is not the same as wanting to be seen as attractive. There is a difference between wanting to showcase creativity and personality versus wanting to appeal to the male gaze. Very often what we want to be perceived as does not equal what is most attractive objectively for our features according to current beauty standards. Otherwise we just be doing no makeup and be done with. Felt the need to be more precise regarding this talking point.
So many things that we do as a social understanding. I mean, not a social understanding, but in a social context. We wear the clothes that we wear in a social context. We try to dress and appear in a way that gives a message. There are very few people, very few rare breed of people that do things independently social. This is why in this pandemic you've seen many people coming out, many people changing their appearances, many people questioning the gender binary and their standing in them, because in a situation in which you are no longer expected to perform, you start to understand what part of the performance was pleasant to you or not. Gender is a performance in a way. Gender and the way we express it is a convention of social norms and aesthetics. The moment when you are no longer forced to perform it, you realize which parts you were master of and which parts mastered you. And you start shedding bit by bit those conventions that no longer appeal to you, and you are left with a raw something, the raw self, the true exhibition of what you want to be. If you overthink it, of course, many people just do not. think about this shit as much as we do, and you know, that's fine. I think overthinkers are chronically more miserable than other people, so kind of sucks for us. What I meant to say about that whole tirade is that for me, makeup is a way to express myself, but if there is no one to express myself to, what am I left with? It's the same thing with my art, and that led me to a whole thing with my artwork, because it made me consider, okay, if I see makeup as a pursuit where being perceived as something that enriches the experience for me, what about my art? I had been going through an incredible art block for years, led by burnout from freelancing as an artist for quite a long time in college to sustain myself because I needed money and I liked to eat. And then the main website where I used to exhibit my art, DeviantArt, died a slow and painful death, and I was left without any community, so to say, because again, I don't know anyone in real life that is actually into art as I am, and I was left without that online community of people that, you know, I used to be friends with on DeviantArt, and then they slowly went away from the website, or we started having different paths in life. We didn't talk as much as we used to, and I think that's also partially my fault because I'm really shit at maintaining relationships, whatever. So for a very long time I was left drawing on my own and having these thoughts of what makes my art truly valuable and why am I forcing myself to... I sometimes had paralysis in creating art because I kept thinking, why should I create art when it doesn't necessarily have a meaning, or when it isn't perceived in a way that enriches people's lives, when it's not art that has a purpose? And I feel that that is very toxic thinking. I feel that is very capitalist thinking. Why should my art have a purpose? Why do I need to draw or paint something that has a purpose for someone else? Why can I not just draw something for me? Why can I not just put paint on my face 100% just for me? Why does it take away from the experience for me if I'm the only one that perceives it and experiences it? I have yet to find an answer to this question. And maybe also this overthinking is a way for me to avoid doing all of the things that I want to do. It's a form of perfectionism paralysis. Overthinking is a way to be a coward and not do the things that I truly want to do. I'm still not sure about that, but we're going through a whole tangent, aren't we? Let's travel back to the past a bit, to 5 minutes ago. Abundance. I am feeling more and more overwhelmed with the amount of makeup that I have, but also know that realistically, I am not the person that would just have 2 lipsticks, 1 mascara, and 3 duochrome eyeshadows. That person would be my fantasy self. The person that is not a complete fucking magpie, like I just can't be that person. I like variety, I like to experiment, I like having matching undertones, which is why I have so many of a different thing, because I notice when undertones don't match. I need my blush to match the undertone of my lipstick, to match the undertone of my shirt, to match the undertone of my eyeshadow. It's a whole thing. I'm a weirdo. So that person that will be happy with just a minimal makeup collection is not something that is feasible for me. But I also want to stop being the person that accumulates and accumulates and accumulates, and I feel that my 2020 budget was a good step in that direction, and I'm hoping that my 2021 budget will be an even bigger, better step, that instead of having more stuff than the previous year, I will have less, that I will trickle down my purchases, that I will trickle down to being so picky, that I will stop accumulating every year, or at least until I am able to go back to normal life and not doing makeup with my hand trembling from fucking cabin fever. So that's how January went. January was an entire existential crisis. It was me contemplating my relationship with my makeup, with how much stuff I have, with how much I draw, with how I draw. It was a period, a whole period. February started and I told myself I will be completely, entirely productive. I took a week off because it was my birthday, And I have this thing, no matter where I work, if I'm able to, I take 1 week off for my birthday. The week of my birthday, I do not want to deal with unruly computers trying to turn into Skynet and take over the company. I do not want to deal with irate people and their effed up user accounts. I do not want to deal with anything of that. So I take the week off. And I told myself, I am going to film every single day of this week. I'm going to have content ready for the next couple of months. Guess what I did not do? All I could do in that week was sleep 16 hours like a cat. And when I was awake, I was paralyzed by choice. I was completely understimulated, but when I tried to do something that would, you know, bring me back to the floating point, I just could not do it. I could not get enough spoons to do it, and I do not understand why I go through periods like this. I can't even help it. I make a whole schedule for myself, and I say, maybe if I do one thing out of the whole schedule, then it will kickstart it. Just nope. I barely went through my to-do list that week, and I eventually gave up. I said, you know what? Maybe this is a sign from my body that I need to take it slow, that we're living through a disaster, and you know, some intense cat naps might just be what I needed. And I got so many beautiful presents and some makeup, which is why I need to include this in my update. I'm not just, you know, saying, hey, it was my birthday. I got the Natasha Denona Mini Star palette, which I have fallen in love with. The mattes are really easy, really dummy proof. The golden and greenish shimmer, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. My favorite is for sure that blue-brown duochrome, but you have to work with it a little. You have to layer it, you have to use your finger. It's a bit of a more of a fussy shade. Not that it's bad, but it's not as effortless as the others to make it show up to its proper potential. I also got a Lanolips lip gloss from the same person that gifted me the palette, a book. I actually got so many books for my birthday, and I'll talk to you guys about it towards the end of the video. I also got from another friend Ofra Highlighters, and it was like a trio in a mini palette. Listen, I stubbornly kept not buying any Ofra Highlighters, even though they were super hyped. A lot of people love them. I stubbornly refused to buy them. I don't know why. I was like, it's just I never wanted them that much. And I always felt like, oh, it's just, they're not exactly what I wanted, because I swear to God, I think everyone was just applying them with a fucking shovel on their face, and it always looked like a strip of light on their faces, and not the way that I loved it. Anna, my friend, gifted me this, and holy shit! Why has YouTube lied to me about these highlighters? They're so versatile. They're not just blinding. They're also able to build up. They're not metallic. They're just a gleam on your face. They're so beautiful. I love them so much. I did not expect to love them. For as long as I avoided them, I did not expect to fall in love with Ofra highlighters so hard. It's taken everything in my power to not use those stupid highlighters every time I do makeup and just rotate through my shit. For my own purchases, what I initially planned was to continue my no-buy, but of course, plans made at home seldomly survive in the wild. I went to the mall because I needed to do some errands, and I entered the Cupio store. Cupio is a Romanian brand. Picked up 3 things, which leads me to only being able to buy 1 makeup item in March. I picked up a blush because it looked like a very beautiful shade of baby pink that fills a hole in my collection, and this is what I have on my cheeks right now, that exact same blush. I also picked up 2 cream shadows, despite me saying that I will not buy anything cream, but they were way too beautiful. They are, I don't think they're from the Cupio brand, I think they're from a sub-brand called MUAH. MUAH? M-U-A-H? Don't know how exactly you should pronounce that. So yeah, I got 3 things, but I will probably buy just 1 thing or try to do a March no buy. We'll see. I am quite proud of myself because I kept getting hit with discounts for my birthday month, discounts from Beauty Bay, discounts from Notino, discounts from Sephora, discounts from Douglas, discounts from Cult Beauty. I stubbornly refuse to use any of them on makeup. So I'm pretty proud of myself because despite going over my allowance, it really wasn't as bad as it could have been. Total, I'm bad at maths. I don't remember what everything was. I'll check out their site and just leave a number up here. So that was the total for makeup. I know I'm well under the monetary value. For clothes, January, it was all good. I did not buy anything. February, I went thrifting because they reopened thrift store recently and I just really missed it. What I got was this super cute nautical type of blouse. So it's something that I will probably wear more in the summer. Maybe cinch it a bit. Cinch, how do you pronounce that? Maybe just make it a bit tighter at the waist, just do some sewing. But I really like the fabric. It's a really thick, nice fabric, and the pattern is really jovial. It makes me happy. And I also found this yellow turtleneck that, despite being a turtleneck, kind of looks a bit sexy. It makes my boobs look great. So I'm really happy about getting to wear that for a bit longer until the weather turns nicer here.
I realized I forgot to mention I also bought this Motel Rocks dress. I was feeling like reheated canned soup, so I thought buying a sexy dress will make me feel better. Clown purchase, but it is what it is. I've not received yet and I'm excited to take photos with it, lol. So I will buy less clothing in March, and that's that.
I'm thinking of doing another closet declutter. I did one a year ago or so, and I think I should do another one now because it's really made me realize what things I wear and what I don't, and what were items that I kept just in case versus items that I actually bring me joy to wear, because I keep wearing mostly the same things when I go outside. Even when I create fancy outfits, I keep pulling and I keep creating outfits with a handful of things. Well, not a handful, a relative handful. So I will probably need to do a closet declutter soon and just donate what I'm not wearing anymore because I can't be bothered with selling. I just cannot. Anyway, this was the update for these past 2 months with, you know, as a side dish of psychological thriller crisis type of thing. I mentioned that I got some books and I'm actually super excited about the books. I'm just very excited about them. Let me grab them. I'll be right back. Okay, so 2 of these I bought myself because my friend bought a coupon at Cărturești, which is a very big bookstore in Romania, for me. This is Alchemy and Mysticism by Alexander Rub, and this is from TASCHEN. I really like their work. They make great books. This is basically a primer on alchemy, alchemy history, symbolism. I am so excited to read this entire thing and draw things inspired by it. I remember in high school I read my first book on alchemy. I was absolutely entranced and I filled a sketchbook just with things inspired by alchemical symbols and processes. And I still remember that period of time as a true creative spark for me. I have yet to be able to capture that same creative frenzy that hit me when I read that alchemy book. So I'm hoping to recapture some of that by reading this. With the same coupon, I bought myself the Costume History by Auguste Rachinet. I think it's Rachinet. Still from TASCHEN. This is a great compendium of costume, and I don't mean costume as in theatrical costume, but clothing worn by people of different times through the centuries, across space and time, across the globe. I am so excited to read this and again use it as drawing and art reference. Because the more that you experience of the world, which is not possible right now, but the more you experience of the world, the more you read of the world, the more aesthetics that you see that are different from yours, the more it enriches your creative experience. So again, very excited about this one. From the friend that gave me the Natasha Denona palette, Aura, I also received these What Great Paintings Say, still from TASCHEN, 100 masterpieces in detail, and it's basically 100 paintings commented in detail and just discussed, you know, techniques, history, stuff like that. I'm really excited about this one as well. Then I said, of course, you know, I will treat myself. It's my birthday. Let me buy some expensive ass art books. The least expensive of the two that I bought is this compendium of illustration by Maria Sibila Merian, which was a very prolific botanical illustrator. So we've got here huge, beautiful botanical illustrations. They're just a treat for the eyes. Very colorful, very detailed. The textures that she used, oh, it's so dreamy. I can't draw plants for shit. So this is a great inspiration, and maybe I will steal some techniques from this book by studying it. I'm really excited. I know I keep saying I'm excited, but books make me happy, man. La pièce de résistance, the cherry on top. I'm so excited to have this. World Receivers, and this is a compendium of works by Georgiana Houghton, Hilma F. Clint, and Emma Kuntz. Hilma F. Clint is the reason why I bought this particular art book. I came across her on TikTok. Yes, TikTok can be super educational, just like any social media.
Can you imagine creating something so revolutionary, so boundary pushing that you decided to hide your work from the public because the world simply wasn't ready for it? That you asked for your work not to be shared until 20 years after your death? Allow me to introduce Hilma af Klint. For anyone with the smallest interest in art and art history, this is a name that you should know, because Klint was the first artist to work in non-objective abstraction within Western art. By 1906, she had already developed abstract images years before artists like Vasily Kandinsky, Piet Mondrian, or Kazimir Malevich, men who are still regarded as the pioneers of 20th century abstraction. Though Klint began as a painter of botanical illustrations and landscapes, her involvement in spiritualism and the modern sciences inspired her to develop a visual language that was not of this world. And over a career spanning 6 decades, she created hundreds of paintings, some as big as 10 feet tall by 8 feet wide, exploring her relationship to life, time, and other metaphysical realities. We've waited this long to know her story and see her work, so let's appreciate it.
I'm not into abstract painting usually. I like the geometric ones, but most of the time the abstract painting doesn't make me feel any type of way. Hers just speaks to me on so many different levels. Let me see if I can find, like, I don't know, there's something about her work, about the geometry, the colors, the symbolism, the symmetry. And of course, not all of her works are symmetrical like these, but just I can't. They just make me feel a way. It just makes something blossom inside of me. So I really love her work, but I could not find a proper, you know, art book of her work that wasn't literally costing me an arm and a leg, or that was in stock. So I saw this one and I decided, you know what, why not explore other artists in the same genre? And it was a huge bonus that they were women, because I always love reading about women artists. The blurb on the back says, abstract paintings were being produced even before Kandinsky. Completely independent of one another, Georgiana Houghton, 1814-1884 in England, Hilma F. Klint, 1862-1944 in Sweden, and Emma Kuntz, 1892-1963 in Switzerland, each developed her own abstract visual language. What they shared was a desire to visualize laws of nature, the spiritual, and the supernatural. So it's so up my alley, and I can't wait to read this and absorb every work in it. It was a great book haul. It was a great book haul. And I find myself so dependent on books and video games in this period, because they're the only things that safely enrich my experience. You can't safely go travel. You can't safely meet new people. You can't safely just do whatever the fuck you want to do in the city without the ever-looming presence of, you know, this virus. I'm very dependent now on this type of media to help me go through life in a way that is meaningful. And that was it. I would love to hear your favorites for these couple of months, or how your budgeting went. If you read any good books, recommend them to me down below. If you had any thoughts regarding, you know, makeup usage, stuff like that, I would love to hear about it. My next videos are probably going to be some anti-hauls, roasting makeup brands, and trying to get into the swing of things again. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to have a wonderful morning, evening, second breakfast, third lunch, or whatever it is you're from. Bye!